Hey, I'm Jay, and you're listening to Mindset Monday, a new series on the More Than podcast created to be the perfect dose of inspiration and motivation while giving you tangible tools to shift your mindset in a more positive direction. After all, your life is only as good as your mindset. I'm so glad you're here. What's up, fam? It feels so good to be back on the mic talking with you guys, back in the studio. This is truly my happy place, and I've taken the last 3 weeks off. We were on the East Coast, and I completely just detached and reset and re-energized and got inspired again, and I could not wait to get back into the studio and reconnect with you because we have a lot to catch up on. If you follow me on social media, you may have seen that I had quite the announcement about 2 weeks ago. And it's true. I'm having a baby. I'm so excited to finally be able to share that with you guys because I've felt like I've been holding on to this massive secret and this huge part of my life throughout the majority of this season. We launched season 5 on April 22nd, and I found out I was pregnant on May 15th. So it has been eating away at me. There's been so many episodes where I've been so close to spilling it, or I have spilled it and we've had to edit it out, or I just felt like I was giving like a dead giveaway. And you guys have been so nice to me because even if you thought it, nobody asked me. The number one question I've been getting in my DMs is, did you get your boobs done? And I appreciate that very much. But yes, my boobs have grown. So have my hips. So has my belly, because I am 18 weeks pregnant. And it's been an emotional roller coaster. There's been so much joy and so much excitement, but there's also been a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of nausea, a lot of exhaustion. So I'm going to catch you guys up on the last 18 weeks. You know that I'm an open book. I overshare every part of my life. And so keeping this side of myself from you guys has been so difficult to do. But it also was something that I was just holding really close and really sacred to. And I was really anxious about actually sharing my little secret. But when I officially hit 15 weeks, I popped. There's a full-blown belly here that I no longer could hide it, even if I wanted to. And I'm finally to a place that I feel comfortable and excited enough to be able to talk to you guys about it and let you in on what this journey has looked like. If you are tuning into this podcast for the very first time, quite the episode to start with, but hey, I'm Jay. I'm so glad you're here. But if you have been one of our OG More Than Movement members and you've listened to the past couple seasons and you have become part of my family, honestly, you listen to every single episode. You guys are constantly interacting with me and my team and our DMs. And I felt the outpouring of love from you when I did announce my pregnancy. And it's just so special. You guys were the driving force for me throughout my first trimester to get up, get myself ready, and come into the studio because I had committed to putting this season out. And it was truly the thing that was bringing me the most inspiration and the most joy, because if it weren't for you guys, I would have been in bed my entire first trimester. And don't get me wrong, I was in bed a ton, but it felt so good to be able to come into the studio, to have a purpose, to know that you guys were waiting on these episodes to come out. So just thank you for being there for me and for motivating me and pushing me and inspiring me. It means so much. So I want to spill all the tea, all the details with you. But if you listen to season 4 of the podcast, or if you know my story, you know that I experienced a miscarriage last year, and that's a big reason why. It's been such an emotional journey for me. I wouldn't even say the last 18 weeks of being pregnant. It's been an emotional journey for me since I found out I was pregnant the first time last October. And I opened up a lot about my miscarriage in 2 episodes on season 4 of the podcast. So if that's something that you guys want to listen to, I encourage you to go there. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but it is something so important to address because it's forever part of my story. It forever changed me. And it also made this exciting chapter really anxiety inducing and really scary because I was so fearful of that happening again. And anybody that has experienced loss knows that when you step out in faith and you decide you want to try again after something like that, it comes with so many different emotions than it did the first time. When we decided that we were going to try and get pregnant and begin the journey, it was nothing but just pure excitement and we'll see what happens. I told everybody so quickly and we had names picked out and we were already reformatting things in our house to make room for a nursery. And like, we just got really excited really quickly, which is amazing. And I'm so glad we did that. But when I found out that we had experienced a loss, it made me feel like I shouldn't have gotten so excited so quickly. And now that I'm still working through the healing journey, I think I always will be, but more on the other side, I can look back and I'm really grateful that we got to have that excitement and got to share it with so many people because that was a significant part of our journey. But this time around, it was just different. I felt a lot more protective of it. And as much as I don't want to admit it, I think I didn't vocalize it because I didn't want to get too attached, even though that's impossible to do. Baby is growing inside of me. I am very attached, but I was just so scared and so anxious. So if you are somebody that has experienced any type of loss, or if that's going to be part of your journey, I love you. I'm so sorry. If this episode in any way is triggering for you, if you're not ready to hear it, but you're listening because you want to support me, thank you. I appreciate that, but protect yourself. I know that it's hard to be so excited for somebody else when you're struggling in your own fertility journey, but you also want to be able to share in that excitement without feeling like it's taking something away from you. So I get the dichotomy of that feeling. So if you are feeling that right now, it's okay. You can shut me off and go listen to any of our other episodes. I do want to talk about a lot of the exciting, the good, the bad, and the ugly of pregnancy because, y'all, it's been a trip. I've never in my life experienced such a range of emotions in one given day. So let me take you back to the beginning. We started trying again earlier this year. After my miscarriage, I had to have a DNC, and we found out 10 weeks after that wasn't successful. So I had another DNC in January, and my body wasn't prepared to even possibly become pregnant again until the end of February, March. I did a lot of healing during that time. Honestly, talking about it on the podcast was very therapeutic for me. I got myself into therapy. I really tried to repair that relationship with my body and also just focus on other things. This podcast, again, was just such a great outlet for me because I wasn't spending all day thinking about the situation and thinking about wanting to try again and thinking about the loss. And so it kind of distracted me a little bit, but I knew that it was going to be a trip when we decided to start trying again, and that it might take some time, but nothing prepares you for those months of a not positive result. In April, we were in Hawaii, and I was positive I was pregnant. I felt different. I got myself super excited. I hadn't taken a pregnancy test with me on our trip, and so I'm like, oh, as soon as I get home, I'm going to test. I know it's going to be positive. And we were there in the beginning for a trip of just Bren and I to reconnect. And then the second half of it was a work trip that he won through his company. So we're with a bunch of work people and we're going out to this amazing rainforest excursion, and I start my period. And it was such a mental defeat. I was so upset. And it makes you lose a lot of trust in your body. And so when we got back from our trip, I still was feeling just different. I felt so weird, so off, but I started completely distrusting my body. And from that time that we got back early April until the beginning of May, I had taken a couple tests because I'm like, something is just off. And they were all negative. So I was trying to kind of process through that, again, trying to just like rebuild that trust with my body. And I also was at the stage of just annoyance and frustration. So I kind of put on the back burner, like it will happen when it's supposed to happen. I need to just lean into my faith and lean into other things. So when I decided to launch this season of the podcast, and it's Mother's Day weekend. And a lot of emotions came up during Mother's Day weekend, understandably so. I think you go through a lot of what ifs, and as much as I didn't want to think about it and didn't want to be sad, I couldn't really help it. And I also just felt weird during that weekend, but I'd been feeling weird for over a month at that point. And so I'm with my mom for Mother's Day. Brendan was with his mom in Minnesota and then on a work trip. And so I'm by myself. I go home on the Monday after Mother's Day, and I had one test left. And I'm like, I just need to get it out of my head that it's negative again, so I can just not focus on that today. I need to start focusing on work, focusing on other things. So I'm about to get in the shower, take the test, put the test away, and then shower. I'm cleaning, I'm going about my business. And thankfully at the last minute, I decided to like prop up my phone, and I'm like, if for some crazy reason it's positive, I'll have that documented. And I'd fully expected negative because the one line was pretty prominent right from the get-go. So I'm like, okay, it's not going to be 2 lines, it's whatever. And I looked at it, and it was total, genuine shock and excitement and fear and joy and such a rush of emotions. My God, I don't know if I will ever share that video, but it makes me cry every time I watch it, because I just see somebody that's so desperate but still really broken and scared. Just want to hug her. But I texted my doctor right away. I have an unbelievable doctor. If you were in Austin and you need a phenomenal OBGYN, slide in my DMs, because I have the best of the best. She goes above and beyond, and she did my second surgery. And then I decided was going to be my doctor for any future pregnancies. So I literally text her and I'm like, help, SOS, this is what just happened. What do I do? And she's like, okay, calm down. This is exciting. We celebrate. I'm going to have my nurse call you. We're going to figure out how far along you are. We're going to get you in for an appointment. Like, this is good. It's okay to be happy. And I sat by myself for 3 days and didn't tell a soul. Now, this won't shock you by any means because I overshare everything on this podcast, but there's nothing that happens in my life that Brendan, my mom, and my sister, and my best friend don't know about. I am just an open book. I can't help it. So 3 days of not saying anything to anybody was so unlike me, but it also gave me enough time to just be able to process and just get really excited. So Bren's coming home from his work trip, and I didn't know this at the time, but poor thing's car sick from being in the back of the Uber. So he walks in, and I had gotten a little bandana on our puppy Bear that said soon to be Big Brother. And I had taken him to the vet that day. And so Bren, it doesn't click. He picks up Bear. He's coming to say hi to me. I'm like, did you see what he got from the vet? And he's like, no, what? And he turns it around. And my Italian stallion husband is one of the loudest, most charismatic men you will ever meet in your life. When this man is genuinely shocked, he just smiles and gets quiet. And that's how I know I really got him. And that's all he did for the first 10 minutes, just complete shock. And then obviously all of the questions start rolling in because it's like, what? We've been talking all day for 3 days and you haven't said anything. And so then we both just, it's so weird after you take a pregnancy test because then you have to wait until you're at least 6 weeks to see your doctor. And so it's this in-between stage of now what? Are you real? What do I do? And so again, I was trying to not get too attached, too worked up, but it's all I could think about. And I was excited, but I was scared. And the anxiety that built up before that first appointment, y'all, was, thank God I'm on anti-anxiety medication. And yes, it is pregnancy approved, because I was a nervous wreck. We go into our first appointment and I'm just bracing myself and hoping and praying. And when we heard the heartbeat, it was the most beautiful sound ever. And I felt a little sense of relief, not a ton, but a little sense of relief. And it started to get a little bit more real. And that was right at 6 weeks. And up until then, I had actually felt pretty good. I was sleeping. I wasn't super nauseous. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to be one of those people that just has a smooth, easy pregnancy, and that's going to be fantastic. Like 6.5 weeks, I felt like I got hit by a freaking bus, and it's just never gotten better. And I don't want to scare anybody that is pregnant or is excited to get pregnant, because yes, it is beautiful. It is a miracle. What is happening in your body every day is something I can never wrap my mind around. It's also the hardest and most physically and emotionally taxing thing I've ever done in my life, that I feel like whenever I saw pregnancy depicted in movies, it's always like the corporate girly that's at work and she throws up out of nowhere and suddenly it clicks like, oh my God, I might be pregnant. And she has morning sickness, but she goes on about her life. She gets a beautiful little basketball-sized belly and everything is great. Yeah, no, morning sickness is not exclusive to the mornings, ladies and gentlemen. Mine is all day sickness. It never goes away. It's worse in the morning and it's worse at night. My sweet spot is like 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I really shine during that time. Outside of that, I'm pretty much down for the count. And I tell my husband, it's like when you're really hungover and you don't feel like you have to throw up right now, but you're really nauseous, you have a headache and you're hungry, but nothing sounds good. That is how my quote unquote morning sickness has been since 6.5 weeks. And you just don't really get relief from it. And you just got to go on with your life. And I have so much respect for all my corporate girls that have to get up and be at an office and be people facing every day, because I've never been more grateful in my life for this season that I am my own boss, that I can dictate my schedule, that my girlfriend who owns this gorgeous studio is so flexible with me about the fact that there's some mornings where I'm like, I simply cannot get out of bed today. Can't come in. And other days I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel great today. I need to be in an hour. And having that flexibility has just been everything and more. But you will not see me before 11 a.m. because I need plenty of time to just be a little dead in the morning, and then I will slowly but surely come to life. So the nausea piece has not been fun. The brain fatigue and the brain fog has been so real. I will be talking and halfway through my sentence, it's like I draw a blank. Lights on, no one's home. And obviously recording a podcast makes it a little bit more difficult. Thank God for editing. But it's been frustrating for me because I wanted to continue to show up as myself and to work and to be productive. And I still have issues with just rest. And I know that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing for your body, and that my body's been working overtime. But I struggle not being hard on myself when I want to be productive. Even when I am working from bed, the fact that I'm not just pumping out emails and active on our social media and pumping out podcast episodes, it's been a mental trip for me to just be like, take a deep breath and relax. And honestly, that's why the last 3 weeks when we went to the East Coast, I was like, I need to just be off and reset for a little bit because I'm going to burn myself out. And it was exactly what I needed. So I'm learning how to practice what I preach and incorporate some rest, and also go on this whole little confidence journey. You know, I talk about confidence all the time. I got my confidence course, and thank God for that, because I take myself through it and have to remind myself of what I teach in there, because it's pretty wild watching how much your body changes. And obviously I knew my body was going to change and quickly, and obviously whatever needs to happen in order to have a healthy baby, like I'm all about it. But I think if we're being really honest as women, going from feeling good overall from the inside out to then not really feeling good, and then also seeing your body change so much, it's kind of a mental trip that has been something that I'm constantly adapting to every day, constantly having to practice what I preach and work on those affirmations and boost up that confidence. Cause y'all, it's been tough. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of other weird like body changes that I didn't expect would happen. Obviously, we're all women here, so I can give you guys TMI, but my boobs were the first thing to change. And for whatever reason, my nipples got hard and just never stopped being hard all the time. I could literally, and I still can literally feel my hair grow on my legs. If I shave every single day, it's like suddenly I'll get itchy. I can feel everything. It's so bizarre. My scalp got psoriasis out of nowhere. Apparently that happens. My skin started breaking out like crazy and I get these little rashes on my cheek. Apparently that's totally normal too. Your body gets skin tags. That's normal. And I got really bloated really quickly. So instantly I'm like, I already have a belly when I'm 6 weeks pregnant. And although, yes, I was very bloated, it's like it wasn't an actual baby belly yet. It was just the bloat. And now I can tell every morning when I wake up that it's just things are a little different. And instead of just growing outwards, I'm growing a little sideways as well and just getting wider. And there's a lot of hip pain and back pain and things just moving. And that, I'll be honest, was such a hurdle for me too, because at about 8 or 9 weeks, I started experiencing some cramping, and that terrified me, especially because my miscarriage that I'd had was a missed miscarriage, meaning I had 0 symptoms. And so I never experienced any type of cramping. And so when I did experience cramping during this pregnancy, I was so fearful. My doctor got me in right away. I was so scared. And she assured me that nothing was wrong and that cramping can actually be so normal. And when you think about it, things are growing, things are expanding, things are moving and making room for this new life. So it's normal to have those cramps with no other symptoms associated with it. And that has still been just a little bit of a hurdle for me because it still freaks me out. But that is just part of this beautiful journey. Things just feel different. And I could not wait to get to my second trimester because everyone is like, oh, your second trimester, you feel your best and you have this pregnancy glow and everything just gets so much better and your energy's back. And I'm still waiting for that to kick in at 18 weeks. I'm hoping it will, but I've been just as tired in my second trimester. And I also developed migraines that I've never had in my life. And my husband and I joke, I have an every other day rule now that if I come in and record a podcast episode, or if I have a long day of work, or if I go out and run errands or meet up with a friend, the next day I'm on bed rest. It's working from bed. It's trying to deal with a migraine and trying to make that a little bit better, and really bad nausea. And then the next day I feel semi-decent and I can go out again. It's really weird. And apparently, I mean, there's no real normal when it comes to pregnancy. I'm learning every pregnancy is so different. But for me, it's been about every other day I come to life. I was in bed yesterday and now I'm here, and we're actually recording again tomorrow. So fingers crossed that I can break this every other day rule. But it's just been a season of really learning how to lean in and take care of myself in brand new ways. And it's starting to feel more and more real every day. And now actually sharing it and vocalizing it has brought a lot of the joy and the excitement, because I love that we're surrounded by so much love. And having Brendan as a partner in this chapter, it's going to make me emotional. I don't want to get emotional. I've made it this far and haven't, but having him as a partner has been everything. He's been unbelievable and such a rock, and taken care of me in every possible way. And I'm just so grateful. So ladies, be so selective with who you choose to have a baby with, because you're going to need them a lot throughout pregnancy. And also just the emotions that you experience in a given day. There's plenty of days where I just feel crazy, and having somebody that's just like on the roller coaster and loving you through it is an absolute blessing. So in the very beginning, my gut feeling, quote unquote, was that I was having a boy. And Bren, of course, wants a boy. He's a sports fanatic and was so excited for the potential of being a coach and all the sport things and all that. So that was in the very beginning. And then when I started getting really sick, I started thinking girl, because all the old wives' tales and everything that I've heard from other people is that the sicker you are, the more likely it's a girl. And they joke that like a girl steals your beauty, but I mean, it's not a joke. It's so true. The way that my skin has been looking, my hair's been looking, my body's been looking, I'm like, okay, that checks out. And I was going through where I was pretty sure it was a girl. And then when we went out to the East Coast, we were visiting my husband's family to tell them all in person that I was pregnant. And all of them instantly were like, it's a boy for sure. So for 2 weeks, they're referring to him as a boy whenever he's here. And so I think I just started wrapping my mind around the fact that it's going to be a boy. We did our announcement photos in Newport, Rhode Island, because when Brendan and I met, he was going to school at Salve Regina in Newport. And if you've never been to Newport, Rhode Island, it is the most picturesque place ever. There's literal just castles everywhere. And they're these mansions that all these rich families had in the 1800s, and they're still there. And they've now been converted, a lot of them, into academic buildings where my husband went to school. And it's always just amazed me. We go back there every year because his godfather lives there, and it's just the most beautiful place ever. And one of the academic buildings has just always looked like a fairy tale castle to me. So I'm like, that's where I want to do our announcement photo shoot. And so we get ready, we go to do our announcement, and we were planning on doing a big gender reveal party. And I'm trying to come up with like, okay, what's the best way? We're going to do the gender reveal. Who do we invite? How do we celebrate? And it started feeling just a little overwhelming. And I wanted to have that moment with just him where we got to find out. So we didn't tell anybody that we were doing this. And I found a photographer on Instagram. She ended up being an absolute angel. She was incredible. And I had my doctor text her the gender results, even though we've never met, never even had a conversation. I put a lot of trust in her, and she lived up to the challenge. But she meets us in Newport, and I'm holding a bunch of pink balloons, and Brendan's holding a bunch of blue balloons. And I wanted to do the gender reveal at the end of the photo shoot because I knew that whatever I found out it was going to be, like, I was just going to be cheesing so hard and not being able to focus throughout the shoot. And I wanted to get our pretty pictures done beforehand, but the balloons started popping. So we went straight into it, and she counts us down from 3. And she was either going to say, Jordan, let go, or Brendan, let go. And we're looking at each other. And he tells me it's going to be amazing either way. It's going to be perfect either way. And on the count of 3, she says, Brendan, let go. And I blacked out. I could not believe that I'm having a little baby girl. I'm so excited. I mean, if you know me, I am a girly girl through and through. And I've always wanted a little daughter. And knowing that in January I get to meet my daughter is everything. And I'm so excited to watch Bren become a girl dad. Him becoming a dad in general, he's going to be the world's greatest. But knowing that he's going to have 2 of me, God bless him. But that little girl is going to be the queen of our house, and he will be wrapped around her little finger. And I already know it, and I'm so excited about it. I think it's going to be so cute. And so we were both in shock. Both of us were so convinced it was going to be a boy. And you can see now, if you look at the photos, like my face, my cheeks hurt so bad from smiling so big. And we FaceTimed our closest friends and family and showed them the pink balloons, and everyone, all the women in my family were like, it's a girl for sure. And all the boys in our family were like, it's a boy. And everyone was just shocked and excited. And it was perfect and a beautiful way for us to find out. And we get back and go in to get another ultrasound just to see baby girl. And she's sucking on her thumb and gives us a little thumbs up, basically saying, Mom, stop freaking out. I'm fine. And it's just made everything so much more real. And I just am so excited and so grateful for this chapter and excited to share this chapter with you guys. I know so many of you have been following me since I went through my weight loss transformation and then was in pageantry and then was modeling, and you guys have really grown and allowed me to evolve so much. And it's been beautiful because so many of you are in similar chapters of life, evolving right there with me. And it feels really awesome to have such a close community that is cheering me on and that we can relate to so much of this life together. And I know there's a handful of you that are not in this chapter yet, and maybe you don't ever want to be a mom, and that is totally fine, and I respect it. And then there's some of you that are already moms or hope to be moms someday, and I want to be able to share parts of this chapter with you guys without letting it become my entire identity. So I'm going to constantly figure out that balance, but I appreciate you guys just encouraging me to just soak this in and enjoy it. I'm so excited to get all the cute little clothes for her, and I just started decorating her nursery. I have all my little Pinterest boards together. I designed some wallpaper. Like, I'm just going full girl mom mode, which I'm sure doesn't surprise any of you guys, but I just am fully stepping into this chapter and just cannot wait. So that's pretty much all I have to share with you guys up to this point. We have our 20-week anatomy scan, which I can't wait for. And I've been told that anytime after 16 weeks, between 24 weeks, is when you start to feel movement. And I cannot wait for that. I think for my anxiety alone, being able to just like do a little check-in and say what's up will be very nice. But I've been getting a lot of little like butterflies in my stomach and a ton of hiccups and just weird little like cramps that will just come and go real quick. And I've been told that apparently that is her moving. And when you see it on an ultrasound, she's an active little girl. So I can't wait to experience that. Can't wait to feel that. And the next couple months are just, it's going to be a trip. It's going to be a balance between sharing what I'm going through in life, but also focusing on what this podcast is and highlighting the stories of other incredible women and just navigating this life together. And then come January, your girl's mom. I don't know what the heck that's going to look like. I don't know what work's going to look like. So just thank you for bearing with me ahead of time. And I hope I answered any questions that you guys had. I was overwhelmed by all of the DMs I got. They were so sweet. And so many of you wanted to know like little intricate details. And I tried to answer a lot of those, but I am remembering that there was one more that so many of you asked, and that is if we have a name. And I'm not going to share her exact name yet, but yes, we do have it. And it's been a name that has been really special to me and really important to me for a while now. And I went back and forth on whether or not that just felt right. And the day after we did our photo shoot and our gender reveal, I was in bed. It was one of those every other days, and in bed with migraine. And I was Googling something and my Spotify popped up, and I don't even have the Spotify subscription. And one of my favorite artists was on there with a song that she came out with in 2007 that I've never heard. And I'm like, how have I never heard this before? Press play. And it is now the most meaningful song I've ever heard in my life. And the title is Her Name. And so I just sobbed by myself while Bren was at the gym. When he came home, I played it for him. He loved it. And then he's like, okay, hold on real quick. He goes into his backpack that he's used countless times over the last year. And somehow in there was hidden a ticket that we had used to get to a certain location on one of our trips. And on that ticket, it had her name. And so we both got two really distinct signs in the same day that was her name. And it felt really special and it felt really right. And it's been fun referring to her as her name. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. So yes, I don't mean to hold out on you, but if it was up to me only all the time, I would share everything like I typically do anyways, but my husband is much more of a private person. So eventually I will come out with that. So I think I've now officially answered all the questions. Thank you for listening to me. If I rambled in any way, like I said, this pregnancy brain makes it go a little blank sometimes. And the fact that you guys have been hanging in there with me and just supporting this journey means everything. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please make sure that you are following The More Than Show on both Apple and on Spotify. It helps us so much with our growth and bringing on new sponsors. And when you share these episodes and when you interact with them or you rate or review, it just means so much and allows me to keep doing something that I love so much. So thank you guys for that. And we are officially back. I'm not going on any long breaks anytime soon. We are back in full force with another incredible guest episode coming out this Thursday. So I will talk to you guys then. Love you guys.